The first ships appeared like wounds in the sky. They tore out of a violet rift beyond Sirion's outer defense satellites, jagged, iron-black vessels that moved without formation, without signal, without mercy. They did not hail. They did not warn. They simply began to destroy. Across the planet Sirion, cities dimmed their lights as defense grids flared to life. Orbital cannons fired in blinding arcs. Civilian transports fled toward underground sanctuaries. And in the royal palace of Asterion, Princess Valia stood at a balcony overlooking the glowing shield dome and whispered, "Father, hurry." King Stephan was not there to answer. He was already at the war front beyond the moons, leading Sirion's fleet against the first wave of the unknown enemy. Behind Valia, soft boots echoed on marble. "Your Highness," said Karnock, the king's younger brother, bowing just enough to be polite and not enough to be loyal. "The council grows anxious." Valia did not turn. "They should be. We are at war." "Yes," Karnock said, his gaze fixed not on the sky but on the throne behind her. "And wars change things." Far above the planet, a sleek command cruiser cut through the void. The Sovereign Arrow, flagship of Space Admiral Jon Lasim. Lasim stood rigid at the viewport as alien ships drifted across the tactical display. Their designs were asymmetrical, brutal, like weapons instead of vessels. "Admiral," said his communications officer, "royal directive incoming." The image of King Stephan flickered to life, battle-scarred, uniform torn, eyes sharp. "Lasim," the king said, "these invaders are not raiders, they are an empire. We intercepted transmissions, they come from beyond mapped space. A galaxy long believed lost. I need the head of this serpent, not just its fangs." "You want their command structure," Lasim said. "I want this invasion to end," Stephan replied. "Take the arrow beyond the frontier, find where they're coming from, strike at their source." Lasim saluted. "For Sirion." Before departure, Lasim had stood in the palace hangar, helmet tucked beneath his arm. Princess Valia had met him there, the war making her eyes older than her years. "You're flying away from the fighting," she said. "I'm flying toward the cause of it." She managed a small smile, then come back with the cure. Their hands met, briefly, formally, and yet not formally at all. From an upper balcony, Karnock watched. Beyond Sirion's borders, space grew strange. Navigation stars warped. Radiation fields pulsed like a heartbeat. Lasim's crew discovered derelict ships, alien and unfamiliar, shattered in silent drifts. "Other worlds," Lasim murmured. "They've done this before." Then the enemy fleet appeared. Hundreds of ships emerged from a dark seam in space, a stable tier leading to a corridor between galaxies. At their center loomed a massive vessel, layered in armor, bristling with weapon spines. "That's the command ship," Lasim said. "If we break it, the fleet loses coordination." The Sovereign Arrow dove forward. Back on Sirion, Karnock moved. In council chambers heavy with fear, he spoke smoothly. "My brother fights bravely," he said, "but if he falls, we must not be leaderless. The people need certainty, stability, a guiding hand." "You mean yours," an elder said. "I mean survival," Karnock replied. Guards loyal to him began appearing at key posts. Communications from the front were delayed. Rumors spread. "The king is dead. Lasim has abandoned us." Princess Valia was confined for her safety. In deep space, Lasim's gamble began. The arrow cut through enemy formations, shields blazing. Missiles streaked. Hull plating screamed under impacts. "Targeting the command ship," weapons control shouted. Lasim didn't blink. "All power to forward cannons. We don't get a second pass." They broke through. At point-blank range, the arrow fired, a sustained beam that punched into the alien flagship's core. The massive vessel convulsed, light bursting from fractures along its hull. Then it exploded, not outward, but inward, collapsing like a dying star. Across the battlefield, alien ships faltered. Some drifted. Some retreated toward the corridor. "They're pulling back," the crew cheered. Lasim allowed himself one breath of relief. Set course for Sirion. Maximum burn. They returned to a planet on the brink of a different war. Karnock stood before the throne, crown in hand, council divided. "The king is lost," he declared. "The admiral failed. I assume the mantle." The chamber doors burst open. "Correction," Lasim's voice rang out. "We won." Behind him strode Valia, free and furious, flanked by officers loyal to the crown. Evidence of Karnock's interference flooded the chamber screens, falsified reports, diverted defenses, seized authority. Karnock's composure shattered. "I was saving us." "You were saving yourself," Valia said. Guards took him away. Hours later, Sirion's skies were clear. Defense grids powered down. Refugees emerged into sunlight. The stars looked like stars again, not threats. On the palace balcony, Valia stood beside Lasim. "The corridor is still out there," she said quietly. "Yes," he said, "but now they know Sirion fights back." She looked at him. "And will you?" Lasim smiled faintly. "As long as there are stars to defend." Below them, a world lived on, saved not only from invaders from a lost galaxy, but from the darkness that had almost risen at home.